big blow to graft war, and this has to do with a decision likely to affect future investigations. The Court of Appeal rules that detectives cannot access bank account details or raid suspects' residence without informing them first. And this is one of the tactics that they have been using, the recent war against graft, and some governors have been roped into it. Now, what do you feel about this one, Mr. Bichachi?
Why do you call it a raid when you're telling me you're coming? You know, now that the judgment has been passed, I can really question the wisdom of these judges. You can't call something a raid and then tell me you are coming. What are you raiding? You know, because the whole point of why in fact, even in movies, even producers of movies have more sense than our judges sometimes. They know that if you're going to catch a criminal, you've got to catch them by surprise. This is basic strategy. I know lawyers will argue that there is wisdom in it, but I'll also tell them that there's no common sense in it. This is one of those instances where the law has become a donkey, the English one, not the American use of that term. So the clarity is here. But the courts must understand that they must work in tandem with common sense and the desires of the people. There is no basis to tell me that you can't go before a magistrate, seek an order to raid a premise and raid the premises. You understand? So if we must be informed, let's look at the ways things could go wrong. Number one, to be informed means you must be given some form of formal letter, right? So which means you might want to deliver it to me and I simply run away. I simply fly out of the country. Then you will never raid my house. So you see, these are problems that we are creating for ourselves in the name of rule of law when it beats logic and common sense. So the judges really need to look at these things. The other thing is accounts. We know very well that if I go and bank more than 10 million shillings, and Mark Bichachi has never banked more than 10 million shillings, of course the bank is supposed to raise queries. So if they're supposed to raise queries and then the investigating authorities are not allowed to look into those queries, and then I'm allowed time because I'll be raided at my own convenience and at my own time. When will you ever find that 10 million, surely?
It's ridiculous.
It's
and I mean,
ridiculous.
Judges say investigators should first summon persons of interest, request for information before seeking warrants from court. I thought it's supposed to be the other way around.
Exactly.
The investigators go seek warrants, then with that warrant, come to your home and show you we have a right to search you.
And then the question is, why don't they do that with thieves? Can they ask? Let them ask the police to request when the guy is firing at them to go to the guy and say, "Can I fire back?"
You basically have their hands tied, Mr. Manyasi.
Let me look at it completely the different way. First of all, the security agencies have been seeking search warrants from the lower courts, and then they come and, of course, surprise you because you're not aware that they had a search warrant. So that is what they have been doing. However, I think the judges are just looking at it purely from the legal perspective. The right to privacy is actually enshrined in the Constitution. So that's how I want to look at it. And then secondly, I also want to look at it from even basic traffic incidences where the police hide in the bush. And then when they see someone make a turn and then they pounce on you. That is how we do things in Kenya. However, for us to have a sustained long-term impact on some of these things, we need to get to a point where by the time police are surprising someone, they have CCTV cameras, for example, that capture this information, so that you get to be either to be arrested 10 kilometers away because they viewed a CCTV camera, or the police come for you because they know if it's DCI, they have been tracking the movement of your money, they have been tracking your behavior, they have been tracking the things that you have been signing. So that they are not coming to raid me, so that, and I'm not saying that, so that they're not coming to raid me, so that they get evidence to judge me or to charge me in court. So it should be the other way around. And if we want to be sustaining this process of getting to make sure that we get to a point where in future, and that's why, that explains why many cases in court fail, because the police take you to court, they surprise your home, they carry away things with the hope that they'll find something, then they end up with cases that cannot be sustained because they don't have enough, because they didn't do a lot of homework. So that is the argument from which I am coming from. So at the end of the day, we need to get to a point where we have people we have employed and we are paying them. They need to do some homework. That is my argument.
I mean, Mr. Buchachi,
come on, let's just follow common sense, okay? I have a receipt that shows a bank document that shows I have wired money from Kenya to the Cayman Islands, okay? And that's the evidence you need to prove Kimwarera and Arol, okay? It is under my mattress, okay? And then you tell me you're coming tomorrow.
And I mean, or maybe there are files on the computer.
Let's not go. You know, I like how Kenyans like to sugar these things in very many things. Let's be very clear. There is no way on God's green earth you'll even catch a chicken thief with the chicken when you tell him you're coming tomorrow to check for the chicken. There is no way also you're going to catch someone who's been practicing corruption. And let's be clear, when we see the FBI, we see Scotland Yard do raids all the time on people who have drugs, on people who are claimed to be trafficking human beings, and they go and raid those places, and sometimes they turn out empty. Does that mean that raids should be stopped? You see, let's also be very certain that that same constitution understands that in certain circumstances your rights are suspended, okay, and you cannot be guilty of stealing from this country, and then we must have the pleasure of giving you a warning. And me, I would like them to, I'd like this applied to the chicken thief in the village. Because if we're going to apply it, what's good for the goose here in Nairobi, stealing billions, should be good for the gander in the village stealing a chicken. So let's from today go tell chicken thieves, cattle rustlers, and all those people who we arrest every day that we must come to inspect even your pocket when you're suspected to be a pickpocket, and you have to give permission for us to search your pocket.
Mr. Manyasi, I feel like from your argument, if the problem is perennially is that we are not having enough evidence. If you're giving them, that, then it makes it even worse, because they'd be hiding the paper trail, the computers that they have, the documentation maybe of wiring funds to another country would be done away with. Then this is not helping the problem, and that's why the EACC is up in arms after this ruling, don't you think?
And that's why, but if it's about exhibits and getting evidence from people, there are so many bodies that have the power to actually enter your premise, including public health officers. Like we have so many people who have those powers under different pieces of legislation. However, what I'm saying is, that's why, and this is why this argument, to me, I'm looking at it like that, because that's why some people today will never be caught, because they register properties through lawyers, they do offshore accounts, they do those kind of things, and therefore, for those kind of category of Kenyans, it doesn't matter whether you raided them 1,000,000 times, you'll never catch them. So what we are saying is, and this is what I'm saying, I'm not saying raids should not happen. What I'm saying is, we need to be cleverer. We need to do our homework. If someone, just like Bichache was saying, if someone puts money in a bank, the bank automatically flags it. So do you need, like today, for example, I don't remember the last time I went to a bank. Do you need physical evidence for you to have evidence against me? That's my argument. So if you can't track some of these things through your own intelligence, it means if I don't keep things in my house, for example, I could be having, there are people who have safes in banks. So what do? Do you go break a bank?
That's why we need warrants, in my opinion.
But that's the whole point. He's making the point, because that same ruling says that you can't even look at a suspect's accounts without informing them. And this is the problem. You see, you cannot expect people to investigate and then expect that the criminals they're investigating are the primary decision makers and access granters for the same investigation. Then why are you a suspect? You see, this is not just a blow to the fight against corruption. I don't know why the reporters are writing it like that. This is a blow to the criminal justice system as we know it. And by the way, rumor has it, and I beg the judges to prove me wrong, that they're doing this for themselves.